Okay, hey everyone, Anthony Fantano here, internet's busiest music nerd. I hope you are doing well, and it's time for a great albums segment going over a bunch of records that I've enjoyed over the past month or so. And for this video, there's a lot. It's actually a very packed great album segment with some EP, some shorter releases on the back end. So stick around because, in my opinion, everything here is worth your time. Maybe there's a few you don't know. Let's see. And of course, begin with the new Jill Scott album, To Whom This May Concern. Jill Scott being one of the most forward-thinking singers and soul artists of her generation and beyond, has come back with her first album in quite a long time. And of course, per usual, this new collection of songs on this beefy record, because she seems to have been sitting on a bunch of this material for a while, brings together elements of hip-hop and soul and R&B, as well as funk music and jazz. Highly enjoyable record with lots of focused songwriting, sensual grooves, amazing chemistry between her and her band. Of course, stellar vocals too. And frankly, for Jill Scott being as influential and as classic and as significant as an artist as she is, I am shocked to see the very low level of discourse around this album and just how good and consistent it is, especially with how much talk we've been seeing and argumentation we've been seeing around like soul music right now and neo-soul music vis-a-vis Jack Harlow's new record. Like, there should be 2 times as much conversation about how good this album is, and yet we're here. But anyways, please spend some time with this Jill Scott, and if you enjoy it, make some noise about it. Moving on next to, of course, you know it, you love it, I know I do, the new Gorillaz album, The Mountain. Definitely one of the band's most conceptual, narrative, personal, and emotional projects to date. Very much appreciate what Damon was able to pull off with the incredible list of collaborators that he had on this record, in terms of the production, in terms of the lush and beautiful orchestrations, in terms of the tasteful ways in which he incorporated different elements of Hindustani music. Love what he was able to accomplish in terms of this record's reflections on spirituality, religion, existentialism, social commentary too. It is very much an experience type of record, a dense and significant record from Gorillaz that I am getting a lot out of, especially on the best tracks. Let's, of course, also give a big shout out to the new GENA album, The Pleasure Is Yours, another record that I feel like I haven't seen nearly as much conversation around as I should, because this new duo consisting of singer, producer, songwriter Liv and producer, drummer Kareem Riggins really goes off. A chaotic, fun, entertaining mixtape type flow across a series of tracks that embrace different elements of soul music and jazz and R&B, but in a very kind of futuristic, forward-thinking, psychedelic sense. Loads of charisma, apparently also all original instrumentation too. If you like artists like Jay Dilla, if you like artists like Erykah Badu, you're going to get a lot out of this album. It's all over the place. It's varied as hell. It is highly replayable. GENA, The Pleasure Is Yours. Also been getting a lot out of this new Bill Callahan album, My Days of 58. Bill has obviously been at this songwriting thing on the indie circuit for decades and decades and decades now, and this record where he's reflecting on his process, his life, is one of his most profound and also funniest projects yet, with lots of winding, linear, jammy instrumentals that have kind of a psychedelic undertone to them that I didn't quite expect, at least expect to be as good as they are with Bill going in this direction. It really is like the best album he's put out in about a decade, if not one of his best records ever. But what can you say? Bill just has a lot to reflect on with this LP, and it's just a significant album. Following this, also been getting a lot out of the new James Blake album, Trying Times. James continues to prove he is one of the best producers out there, one of the best vocalists out there on the futuristic soul / art pop front, in a series of songs that are some of the most sing-songy and I'll say traditionally structured in terms of songwriting since his Friends That Break Your Heart record. Like, this is obviously not as much an ambient or an immersive electronic experience in the way that Playing Robots into Heaven was. This album is not only leaning heavily into ballads, but a lot of these songs center around the idea of maintaining love and human connection and just humanity in the midst of a very dark time in history and society. I've said this in my review. I will say it here. James essentially very thoughtfully and tastefully speaking to the times in the way that a lot of great artists do. This album is truly heaven sent. Also been enjoying the new deluxe edition of the Slayr mixtape Half Blood, the BloodLuxe project. Slayr is an artist who is quickly proving himself to be one of the most creative, versatile, and interesting out there, coming out of the underground scene at the moment. Not only do I feel like a lot of tracks on this record are pretty much exactly what rage music should be in terms of their energy, their hype, their catchiness, their explosivity, but Slayr also incorporates a lot of melodic vocal elements and anthemic chord progressions into these tracks too that are not only pulling from a lot of emo trap from like 10 years ago, but pop punk and alternative rock music too. It's a very short, punchy, catchy, to the point record with some great energy. Everyone making fun of this kid for being himself is a complete loser. It's just encouraging to see someone breathing some life into this scene, frankly. Of course, I also want to give a shout out to the new Underscores album, You, which is handily one of the best pop records you could put your ears on this year. Not only does this record feel like a continuation of everything that made hyperpop so fun 5 years ago, but without being too on the nose about it, but it's also a very thoughtful record about a relationship that didn't quite get to full status, and in the yearning and the angst of never quite getting to that point where that love was fulfilled. Just the obsession, the pining is unignorable on pretty much every track of this LP. Not to mention that Underscores like really did make an effective transition here from like more of a rock and underground pop punky sound on the last record to something that is like really just going into full danceable clubby banger mode. So really enjoying this one. And finally want to give a shout out to this big massive beast of a record from Neurosis and Undying Love for a Burning World. These atmospheric sludge metal titans and post metal titans are back with their first album in 10 years after hitting a really dark patch with one of their members being formally dismissed. The band has returned, not just with a great record, but with Aaron Turner of ISIS and Sumac fame. Yes, they've teamed up with another one of the best artists in the genres to make one of the most incredible records in this lane we have heard in years. A record that not only reminds us of many of the sounds and elements that have always made Neurosis so good, but there are a lot of very linear, loud, noisy, experimental rock vibes on this record too, a la Swans, which is most definitely an influence that both Neurosis and Turner share. And these ideas culminate into some really incredible lengthy songs on the back end of the record that are just mind-blowing and just really great immersive listens overall. So yeah, one of the best metal and loud rock releases you are going to hear this year for sure. Now this has been a big Great Albums video, so let me get into some EPs real quick for you. One, the new Blood Command EP. This is one of the most fun metal EPs I think you could listen to this year. These guys are doing some crazy stuff in terms of, fusing some clean vocals and pop elements into their sound on a handful of tracks that are still very riffy, still very righteous, still very exciting and heavy like a good metal track should be. Also been enjoying this new Dylan Brady Needle Guy EP. Seems like Dylan is on a little bit of a solo jaunt here. Don't know how long it's going to last, but these slightly dubstep influenced bops that he has here, especially with that title track, are very fun to listen to. Also want to shout out Cowboy Hunters, one of my new favorite projects that I've caught in the UK as of late, bringing together elements of punk and noise rock and I would say rap music too, to a degree. These guys are bursting with eccentricity and creativity. It's some really fun stuff. And then finally, model Actriz, who we have sung the praises of for numerous times on this channel, have suddenly dropped an EP this week out of the blue with a few newly released tracks on it, and I think they're quite good. Could be maybe just like some runoff from the Pirouette era, what have you. Even if it is, the tracks are still quite good, and I'm still glad they saw the light of day. If you're unfamiliar with Model Actriz, if you're looking for some really dark, groovy, post-punky, gothy tunes that will get your hips moving while bringing a very kind of like unnerving, noisy, prickly, no wave kind of energy, definitely give this EP and anything else they have done a listen. And that is going to be it for this great albums video. Thank you guys very much for watching. Over here next to my head is another video you can check out, and that is going to be it. Anthony Fantano, great albums forever.